We want to get to a story that made headlines this week. The 49ers, as we just talked about, missing a lot of pieces, and one of those in 2020 was by choice when the Niners traded away DeForest Buckner. This past week, Defo spoke about that decision, saying, "I was hoping the 49ers would at least meet me in the middle. I definitely didn't expect them to trade me. I poured my heart and soul into that organization to go from 2-14 my first year to build a culture and get to a Super Bowl. You just don't expect to be traded." So right now, we want to welcome into Keo Spikes alongside Jeff Garcia and Dante Whitner as we continue this discussion. When you think about what fans are discussing, DeForest Buckner is a huge point this season when you think about all the injuries that the 49ers have had. To Keo, did the 49ers make a mistake in letting Defo go and trading him away to the Colts?
I don't believe so. And this is the reason why. Because at the end of the day, when you're building a team, when you're constructing a football team, you have to understand, I need the most commodities that I could possibly get. We all know they view players as commodities. And so when you look at Buck, he ended up leaving, going to Indy with the trade. But what did the 49ers get in return? Hey, they got Eric Armstead from an extension, Jimmy Ward, and also traded their spot in the draft to pick up Javon Kinlaw. And so technically, how I look at it, you really get a 3-for-1 for letting him go. And then look, it's easy for a lot of people to come in and say, hey, the 49ers are not playing well, they're doing bad, they can't even get to the quarterback. Well, if everybody was expected to be healthy this year, you had Bosa coming back, D Ford coming back, Armstead, and also extra money up under the cap to be able to make moves to bring in other players to help what you are lacking in.
I always felt that there were two guys that you had to exhaust all options to keep in this building. One was George Kittle. The second was DeForest Buckner. This is a cornerstone defensive tackle in the National Football League. You can see what he's doing and the contributions that he's making to the Indianapolis Colts. There's a reason why they're number 3 in the National Football League. This guy has a multitude of different moves that he can give you from the inside, but first and foremost, he's a primary defender on the defense. Somebody that you have to circle on the board on Wednesday and say, hey, we have to stop this guy, and he allows other guys to get one-on-ones. So if you have this guy in the middle of your defense, if you surround him with other players, secondary players, this is a guy who's in the prime of his career, and he's going to go down as one of the best interior rushers in the National Football League. So I feel like absolutely 100% positively, they made a mistake by allowing him to leave this organization.
You have to look at what DeForest Buckner did in 2018. Not having Nick Bosa on one edge, not having D Ford on the other. 12.5 sacks as an interior defensive lineman. At 6'7", 300 pounds, the guy is a difference maker. He's a beast. And they have to recognize that. They have to send extra guys his way, which takes the load off of Armstead getting singled up. And what he was able to do last year, getting 10 sacks, was a combination of having D Ford on one side, Bosa on the other, and DeForest Buckner right next to him. Because of those three guys, it allowed Armstead to be singled up, to have the advantage, to also get the fact that a quarterback is now trying to avoid outside pressure and stepping up in the pocket, falling right into his lap. Those type of things are shown and proven because of the players that you had around you, and because DeForest Buckner was that beast in that 3 technique or that 1 technique, whatever the shade may have been, but getting the double teams. And that's where I think DeForest was such a difference maker. You saw it in 2018 when he didn't have those other weapons around him, what he was doing on the field and being a Pro Bowl player. He would have continued to be that for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, hindsight always 2020, and you have to wonder what the 49ers are thinking right now, seeing what DeForest Buckner is doing in Indianapolis. Right now, we want to get you back out to Levi's Stadium to continue this discussion as we welcome in our 49ers reporter Jennifer Lee Chan. JLC, there's an interesting side to this story. We know DeForest Buckner, clearly from his quote, wanted to stay with the 49ers, but there was something going on behind the scenes as well.
You know, Laura, as with any breakup, there's always more backstory. So DeForest Buckner was originally represented by Chaffee Fields, who also represents Eric Armstead. It's a little tangled web here. Well, Chaffee Fields worked with Joel Siegel, who now represents DeForest Buckner. In the middle of last season, Chaffee Fields and Joel Siegel went their separate ways. DeForest Buckner stayed with Joel Siegel, and Eric Armstead stayed with Chaffee Fields. Now, it looks like the two winners out of this whole thing are both agents who got their players huge contracts in the offseason. It looks like DeForest Buckner would have preferred to stay with the 49ers. It also looks like the 49ers would have preferred to have DeForest Buckner as a strong piece on their defense. But really, it's hard to say what happened. I think there's a little bit more that we need to look into because it looks like there's a lot more backstory on this trade and the backstory between the relationship between the agents and the players.
Yeah, I feel like maybe next time I need a graph or some kind of flow chart to keep up with all of that, JLC. I was trying to follow. I'm going to DVR this and replay it a few times to make sure I get it down. Jennifer Lee Chan, thanks so much.
Yeah, there are breakups between both.